And we are live. Hey, you guys, this is the song for today. I don't know if you can hear it, but you need to hear it. Hey, 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 you guys. Just in case you're not sure, that's Way Too Big by Burner Boy. Oh yeah, do if it easy. Hello, beautiful people. Wow, you guys, it's Sunday, February 21st, 1 p.m. I've been waiting for this day for the longest time. And for you all who don't know me, let me not be rude. My name is Janie Booz, aka Janie of Canada. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to Black Immigrant Unveiled with amazing fire guests. Hey guys, you guys. Anyways, so I'm your host, Janie, aka Janie of Canada. And on this channel, we'll talk about everything life as a newcomer, as an immigrant to Canada. So if you're new and this is the first time you're seeing my face, where have you been? Where have you been? And if you're returning and you're subscribed and you got that notification, it is a pleasure to see you again. Okay. This is not just a regular Janie of Canada live, you guys. This is not one of the regular ones. This Black History Month, this Sunday, we are doubling up and tripling up in some aspects. I have been blessed to team up with the amazing David Ojeinka of the Fresh Start Hub podcast, who you'll see in a little bit. So again, this is not just me. This is like team effort. And then on the tripling aspect, we have not one, not two, but three amazing guests. Hey, God, you guys, I'm so excited. And we had over 300 people sign up. And it's 104, and there's already 60 people almost on this live. So I know that you can feel the excitement. So, some housekeeping. This is not a regular webinar. This is not a regular live. It's a conversation. Like, we're going to be spilling the tea, dragging some people. Okay, we're not dragging anybody. I'm kidding. We're going to be spilling the tea. We're going to be very honest. This is a conversation between friends. So we're all friends. So I don't want you guys to just be sitting down and like multitasking. I want you to be very engaged. I want you to be in the chat right now, right? I want to see exactly good vibes and hey, all the dancing. Let's enjoy this session together because I'm not talking to myself today. And I know there's 4 other people that are not talking to themselves today. Okay, so I'm going to go through the agenda really quickly. But before I do that, I want to make sure, hey, one of the top first 60. Now we're talking. I want to see where everyone is tuning in from today, please. Because I'm in Toronto. It's really cold outside. So I just want to know that some people are in some places that have warmth. Where are you guys all tuning in from today? Where are you? Where are you? Let's see. Because it'll be great for our speakers. They're backstage. They're excited to meet you. They want to know where you're tuning in from today. Okay. Let it come in. Let it come in. I'll give you 2 seconds there. Wow. Hey, look at people from all over the world. How are you doing today? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Let me see the places come through. Awesome. Okay. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people tuning in. This is great. South Africa, Toronto, Winnipeg. We have someone from China, you guys. Look at it. Mississauga. Hey, Rennie. Hey, Dami. Okay, look at people. This is beautiful. We literally have people from all over the world. Okay. Wow. Ghana, Kenya, Zimbabwe. Oh, this is beautiful. So we have representation from all over the world. It is such an honor to have you all today. Okay, we're getting the gist of it. We're going to have a conversation. So I'd like you guys to keep using the chat, right? The second thing I wanted to ask you today is when you saw that flyer, when somebody sent you that message that we're going to have 3 amazing guests in this session today, I'm sure you had one question, one hope, one expectation for this event today. And we can easily just be talking and just go. But we want to make sure that we capture your expectation. So in one word, I know it's hard. It's like school. One word. Write what you're expecting to hear or learn today. I'll wait. Where is it? Let it come through. Ha, see my Abuja people. Okay, this is beautiful. Wow. Okay, let it come in. We're excited. Okay. So there's a lot of intentions coming in through the chat, and our speakers are seeing everything. So they're going to make sure that they touch upon it, right? So I also want you in the next 10 seconds, just quickly set your intentions to make sure that you're not only coming here, wow, Sade's story, okay. You're not only coming here to just hear. What are you looking to spend the next 90 minutes and what are you looking to get out of it? Because when you set your intentions, you're going to get it out. You'll find it no matter what. So really quickly, just like 10 seconds, say, today, I want to learn, I want to hear, I want to take away this, because this is your time. This is your Sunday afternoon, morning, or evening, no matter where you are. So we want this to be an amazing session, not for just us, but for you. This is for you. Amazing. Relocation. You want to hear facts. You want to hear about job opportunities. Sade's story. You want to learn information. Okay, this is all beautiful because we're taking it in. Okay, so I've spent like 4 minutes introducing you. You guys have gotten empowerment. You've gotten the gist of what we're doing here. It's a conversation, okay? So for a quick agenda, we'll spend the first 40 minutes having a panel discussion with our amazing speakers. It'll feel like, I'm warning you, it'll feel like only 5 minutes because they're all very amazing. So make sure to listen and take notes. And then with my amazing host, David Ajainka, would also now go through Q&A. So what I'm asking you to do is please write your questions in the chat. I'll be taking notes to make sure that our speakers actually touch on them, okay? And then we'll do a fire game for like 5 minutes after, because I like to play. I'm a child at heart. So we're going to actually play a game with our speakers before we wrap up at 2:20, 2:25. I'd love to convert it to your time, but I can't right now. Okay, enough of me talking. Without further ado, I'd love to welcome on stage the amazing, the fire podcaster. If you hear this man speak, you'll be like, oh, I want to sleep right now. Let's welcome David Ajainka.
Thank you so much, Janie. That was a very interesting introduction. And I love your energy. I love your passion. And I love that, you made it very real to the people that this is not some made up stories, or these are not theories, these are practical. And just to quickly introduce myself, my name is David Ajainka, like she rightly said, and I currently work as a portfolio manager at the Royal Bank of Canada, which is the largest bank in Canada, as where I help my team to ensure that we maximize return on our project investment. Outside of work, I host a podcast, like she rightly said. There's a website called the Fresh Start Hub, where it's focused on helping immigrants to achieve their career goals faster. And how we do that is through 3 pillars. The podcast, where we share inspiring real stories of immigrants who have walked the path and who has gone through trials and triumphs, and they are really thriving and doing very well in their career today. So they are not just some made up fables. They are real stories that you can learn from, you can get actionable insight from. And the second pillar is the mentorship program, and that came out as a result of the challenges that immigrants go through. I've been through everything. I used to work at Walmart, where I was arranging shelves at Walmart. And so I've been through the journey before, and I don't think that my story will be enough to encourage and help people to be able to find what they're looking for. So there's the mentorship program, we bring people from different industries, diverse backgrounds, who are also immigrants, who have walked that path before to share their story. And it's a closed circle where people can ask questions, people can be vulnerable, and everything is free. It's absolutely free to attend. And then the third piece is the career information session. And the mindset behind that is the underemployment that a lot of immigrants go through. According to the Conference Board of Canada, immigrants lose $12.7 billion as a result of underemployment. And the Fresh Start Hub is committed to helping to change that narrative through the career information session, where we bring real employers. For example, we had one last week where we brought Cisco Systems, and they talk about the hiring process, the things they look for in candidates, and just to make the process of actually landing jobs at some of these Fortune 500 companies to be easier. So we have so many programs for the next couple of weeks, for the rest of the year, and everything on the Fresh Start Hub is free, and I would encourage you to utilize them. We have some other initiatives that we are planning up our sleeves. I'm also where myself and Jenny, we're having conversations, and we'll be teaming up on some things down the line. So I would encourage you to utilize the resources. They're absolutely free. We don't have any plan of selling you anything. We are not some snake oil salespeople that want to sell you on anything. It's free. It's because it's something that it's my own way of paying it forward and helping people, because I know the challenges I went through when I just came to Canada. So that's all Fresh Start is all about. And I'm like Jenny rightly said, I'm so excited about this conversation. And I hope that I would encourage you that you should please take notes, ask your questions, don't be afraid. The worst that can happen is people will tell you no, but please ask questions. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, David. Hi, you guys. Okay, so our speakers are backstage, and I want to make sure that you guys get to meet them real quick, okay? Give me 1 second. Make sure our speakers are ready. Are you guys ready? Can I see? I can see them. You can't see them. Backstage access, baby. Okay, so our speakers are ready to see you. And David, honestly, it's a pleasure to host this with you. So without further ado, you guys, if you're not ready for the drum rolls, I'm not going to bring them out. You know, I'm selfish like that. I need to see you getting ready in the chat. Without further ado, let's welcome the amazing Ohita Odu-thomas, my girl, okay? Tunde Tash. Where's Tunde? Hey, Tunde Omotoye. If you guys don't know Tunde on Twitter, where have you been? Right? And the amazing Sade Ladipo. So let me say first, have you seen that hair?
I know.
Welcome. You honestly, I can't thank you all enough for gracing us with your time on a Sunday afternoon when you should be spending time with your family, spending time rejuvenating for the week. But we have over 300 people who want to hear your stories, who want to hear from you. And I know that we all have different immigration routes. So in this conversation, we'll talk about your migration journey, what it's like being Black in Canada. Then we'll talk about career and life. And it's a casual conversation. And you guys, if you know my friends on this call, they actually are here to give you the real truth, no filter. But we know that if we actually want to go into our conversation, especially like with David, who has been here a while, Tunde, if you know Tunde's struggles, we'll spend the whole 19 minutes talking about the story. So just to frame the first intro question, I'd love for 3 of you to go round table, whoever wants to go first, answering these questions. Tell us what immigration route you came through, what year you came to Canada, what you did back home, and say what back home is, and what you do now. And I can repeat it at any point. Who would like to go first? I'm calling you. Tunde, go first.
Okay, ladies first usually, but it's okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Janie. Thank you, David. Thanks a lot for having me here. And really nice to be here with Ohita and Chadi as well. So I came to Canada as a student. I got to Canada in 2015 of January. I think it was on the 3rd of January. It was like saying Happy New Year in Nigeria and then landing Canada like the next 2 days. Got here when it was, when it started getting cold during winter. Back home, I was a human resources associate. I started back home, but presently now I'm a senior business operations analyst. Like David, I also work in the bank. I work in Bank of Montreal, which is one of the big 5 banks in Canada. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Ohita Odu-thomas. Thank God Janie and David are here because their energy is like so much and I can obviously feed off of it. So I came to Canada as a student as well, September 9th, 2018. Yeah, so it was just getting cold, coming from Abuja, the heat, the humidity, and then, coming to the cold, that's another story. But back home, I used to work for the Nigerian government. So I worked as a statistician at National Bureau of Statistics and later on a data analyst management trainee at National Insurance Commission. Currently, I work at the largest bank in Canada, Royal Bank of Canada, like David as well. No offense, Tunde, no offense. But yes, we work at RBC as a leadership development associate.
Awesome.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Okay. All right. My name is Shade Ladipo. It's a brand. So please. It's not Shade. It's not like it was Shade Ladipo. Thanks. I'm super excited to be here. I got to Canada March 20th, 2020, a day before they closed the airport. I literally was at the airport and they were like, should we allow you come in or no? And I was like, anything you want to do, let's do it. It was the worst time because of the pandemic, but I'm so happy that I was still able to fly commercially and just get into Canada. It was super cold. It was horrible, I mustn't lie. Before coming to Canada, I was the country manager for a nonprofit in the US. I was also the host of a morning show on Silverbird TV in Lagos. I also run a travel company called Avienti, which is still live and kicking. I'm also a troublemaker, table shaker, MC. Anything we understand, money day, we just they walk, just they go, you understand? No, we come place, say markets, we run through. Me, hustle go day. And since I came to Canada, I haven't yet found my footing because it's barely been a year and this was the worst time for anyone to come in. I work with a startup in operations. I work with a nonprofit for women in business. I work with a company that does consulting for anti-Black racism training. If possible, I do more. In fact, I'm probably going to do more. But I'm still on the struggle to find who I am in Canada. So it might look all nice and cozy, but it's not. Trust me.
And that's why we are here. Thank you. And so I'll hand it off to David now to actually ask the questions we have curated. A few of you had sent your questions in, so we have them written down here. And again, remember to use the Q&A, the chat function, so that we can take in your questions for the Q&A bit. David, over to you, man.
All right. So this question, actually, it is who wants to go first. It's open to whoever. So we all have a story. I know you guys introduced yourself. You talked a little bit about your journey, but there's a story behind every decision to migrate. What motivated you to move to Canada? Out of all the countries, there are so many opportunities available out there. Was there a tipping point, or did you just fall into it and say, you know what, I'm out of here? What's motivated you? And what's the story behind your decision to migrate? Who wants to take it?
Maybe we can do in order of who's oldest in Canada. 2015, Tunde, and then 2018, and then 2020.
Okay, that's okay. So it wasn't planned for me. It happened. It kind of happened that I met somebody who was in Canada, who had been living in Canada for a while, right? So he visited Nigeria, and at that time, I was a human resources officer, and then I was just getting into the human resources association. But I had so much energy. I felt I could put in so much in the human resources profession, right? But I wanted to further my education, just so that I kind of have that educational qualification for human resources, right? I could have gone to Unilag, I could have gone to another school, but it happened that this man came from Canada that time, and we were talking, right? And I was telling him about my career goals, my aspirations, and he said, "Oh, actually, it's actually easy to get admission in Canada, right? But and I can send you some links, and you can look at those schools." And I said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yes." And it happened that I applied and I got admission, right? And before you know it, before we said Jack, I had submitted my application to to study in Canada. Like, and unlike every other person, a lot of people, now it's quite harder for you to apply without paying school fees. I didn't pay school fees then when I submitted my application, right? That's why it wasn't something I applied, right? And I applied and I got it, and I was like, you know what? Is it I go and wait to save the school fees? I say, let us go. Let's see what will happen, right? So that's it for me. I didn't really plan. It wasn't even in my radar. Right, you have people that are planning after school or while they're working. Oh, everybody's going to Canada. As at that time, I don't even think people were talking about Canada as we are right now. Right, a lot of people were holding information. Social media wasn't as big. It was big then, but a lot of people don't really share stuff about Canada. Now, look at Janie. You have YouTube pages. You have David using podcasts to also share a lot of info. Look at myself. Look at Ohita. Look at Ladipo as well. I use Twitter to share a lot of messages. So there was nothing like that. It just happened. Right, and that's where we are, and here we are today.
Awesome, that's great. For me, it was really interesting because, like I said, I was a data analyst and statistician, but I found that my passion was more in giving back. So I also have a nonprofit called the Ohita Foundation, where I help disadvantaged children, refugees, and also try to help the Nigerian youth, be more passionate about engaging in volunteer activities than making donations, because it's convenient for you to say, okay, take this 5K or 10,000 naira to buy stuff for this orphanage or buy stuff for this community. But when you actually go there and spend time with the children, it's fantastic. So I would do that on weekends and during my leisure time. And I just thought it would be best for me to, get a master's degree in international relations and diplomacy, because I also like to travel and all of that stuff. And funny enough, Canada was nowhere on my radar, to be honest. I wanted to go to the UK. I had been there for holidays, so I was like, oh, I love the English accent. I just want to go and have fun. And then my parents were like, we're just watching you. You're not serious. Whatever it is your business. You're not serious. But a good friend of mine had mentioned Canada to me, that he was applying at that time, and then just said I should try. And I was like, okay, no problem. I tried, and I was applying for international relations and diplomacy to 2 or 3 schools. And then another friend had sent me a message saying, you know what, I think this other program is best for you. You're great at management, project management, entrepreneurship, innovation. And then I checked the tuition for that school he recommended, and I was like, I was like, I'm not the only child, please, I can't do this. But surprisingly, I think it was that one and another program, but I was more inclined to that. And thank goodness I wasn't so heady, which I usually would be. And I applied and got into the program. And I have no regrets since then, to be honest. So it wasn't like Canada was ever on my radar. It was mostly the UK. But thank God for good company and people who just, thought that Canada was a great place for me. Yeah, and that's it.
You want me to answer the question too?
Yes, no.
Yes.
People like it. Why not?
Okay, so, I've run a travel company now for 10 years. So obviously I'm very exposed to a lot of things that happens travel-wise. So I had actually started doing the packages and the process for people. But the people who know me know I'm a die-hard night, as in die-hard Lagos babe, we died here. That's the kind of person I am. So I never in my life looked at it as an option. That's the honest truth. So in 2017, my best friend applied, and when she was about to apply, she told me, Shade, let's apply. I said, no problem, let's do it. We registered for IELTS. When it was time for IELTS, I got one call from Senegal, all expense paid trip for the course. I said, my sister, you understand? This is a free whole package trip. I have to. So I left the IELTS and I was like, you know what? Because I was very involved with a lot of the work I was doing at that time. So I left it and she did it, she got in. By 2018, she was already gone. And I was still involved at that point, you know, trying to help people. And then I met this man, we got married, and next thing he was like, oh, let's apply for Canada. I was like, okay. And then I put in his package and I literally didn't have to do anything. I was one that just did the process. I didn't have to do IELTS because he had schooled in Canada. He had a brother in Canada. So he had all the points. I applied as his dependent and I didn't need to do anything. The honest truth was, I didn't really plan to come. Let me not lie. When I met my husband, he had tried to apply, but he doesn't know how to apply for these things. So he had failed. But he had the points, but he just didn't know how to put it together at that point. So by the time we got married, I was like, okay, you know what, Bob, this is my job. This is what I do for a living. Bring this. And of course, I put it together and it was bam, bam. Next thing, it was just like we had gotten to it. It took us like 5 months. And I was like,
5 months. 5 months.
It took us 5 months. I'm not even joking. Wow. Literally, when we put it in, again, it is my job. So I know how to do. I knew. I had all the contacts with police. I knew exactly what to do. It didn't really, you know. It should have taken shorter now. Come on, it's my work now. But the truth is, I didn't really plan to. But I'm such a spiritual person. Everything always works the way it's supposed to work, and everything planned out exactly the way. And it felt like it was part of my plan all along. Bloody lie. Bloody penguin lie. This thing came into my radar in 2019. I did not have any plans to be. Sometimes I'm on the streets and I'm like, Shade, you are here. Made it slow. I'm angry sometimes, but we are here.
Yeah.
Especially right now when honestly we're still in lockdown in Toronto. And all my Abuja friends, if you're an Abuja friend, I will catch you. You're all going on brunches, they're all
I'm
out
telling
there.
you.
I'm
telling you.
It's like okay, so for real, I'm sure a lot of people look at Canada like this land of the brave, or the brother or sister or land of the brave, home of the free, and it looks beautiful. Like your first picture is snow that you send back home, and people will be like, you blown, you made it. I want us to be real with people on this conversation. Let's think back on our 5, 3, 1 year journey now and say, can you please be honest, share the most like embarrassing newcomer immigrant moments or funny moments where you're like, I was a king where I came from. How am I going through this? Or a queen where I came from. How am I going through this?
Okay, I'll go first. It was the cold, you know. It kind of brought that culture shock for me. You know, I bought a jacket in Yaba. I always say I bought that winter jacket in Yaba, thinking that when I get to Toronto or Canada, you know, it will definitely help. I got to the airport, you know, feeling fly, put on my jacket, got out of the airport, and I ran back inside because I was like, this is not it. It was very, very cold. But aside the weather, one thing that I found was that, you know, I had schooled in Nigeria, I had experience in Nigeria, you know, human resources associate, working with FMCG, big brand, you know, that kind of thing. It didn't really matter here, unfortunately. Right, I had to kind of, you know, re-strategize on how to really get my foot into the corporate world. Right, it's not as rosy or as easy as it is. So I got to Canada, you know, like I said, couldn't pay school fees, deferred my admission so that I could go and work and save for school fees. But unfortunately, the job I was getting, I thought, this guy, fly guy, you know, sharp guy, you will get a human resources job in one of these nice offices, guy. You know, they said, oh God, this factory job will have for you. You know, you just have to start like that. I was like, whoa, you know, and this is a factory job where you are kitting up like somebody that is going to carry Ebola patients. You are covering all your body. You are in a cold factory, packing sausages. I had nightmare, right? I was dreaming about sausages in my first week. Honestly, sausages were pursuing me. I told my wife, you know, nobody believed me. Sausages were pursuing me in my dream because I was packing sausages for 8 hours every day. And I did that. I had to do that for 4 months. And when I went back to school, I had to, change my shift. I was doing that, and I was also working in Toyota manufacturing company. So you guys driving on your Toyota, I might have cleaned that Toyota at a point in my life in Canada, where they paint Toyota, and then we had to clean it. So I was doing those jobs, and I think that realization came that when you come to a country like this, it shows a lot of things at you, and it is left to you to either decide, am I going to do it, am I going to go back? There were a lot of times I asked myself a lot of questions, right? Did I make the right decision of leaving my rosy office job in Nigeria and coming to this place? Like, what the hell am I doing here? Many times I call my mom and I'm like, I don't think I made the right decision of coming to this place, right? But I just had to go through that process. And for a lot of people, it's not like that. Right, for a lot of people come here as PR, they get their jobs, and everything gets rosy. For a lot of people, it's not like that. And for people who isn't like that, for them, you have to understand that it's a process, and you will definitely get a better thing out of it. And as God will have it, I survived that process with all the nightmare and the PTSD. And I finished school, with flying colors, and I was able to start my career journey, in the human resources world. Right, so it was like a time I had to pay the price, right? But then it's never easy for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it is, and it's never easy for a lot of people. And when you get into that position, it's not the end of the world. It's a process, and you have to go through that process. So that's it for me.
Let me. So for me, like I said, I'm going to be 1 year next month, and someone said even Sade's relocation took all of us by surprise. The people who I'm very close to a lot of people who I follow on social media, especially Instagram. We're very close, and it was so surprising because I actually still went to work a day before I traveled. I was at work because I do a live show. So imagine you're a live show on a Thursday, and then Friday you have reached Canada. So because of COVID, when people didn't see me on air, they just assumed, oh, it's COVID. TV stations are open, Okay, so after COVID, Sade will be back. I'm going to be seeing Sade, you understand? Everybody on the way, Sade, yeah, Sade, oh. So it took everyone by surprise. But for me, one of the most shocking things, so two things. The first thing that shocked me was public transport. I love public transport. I've never liked cars. I only love driving in Nigeria. When I'm asked about Nigeria, I don't like cars. I like public transport. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to public transport this thing, man. I'm going to enjoy the trains, the streetcars, and the bus. I'm going to enjoy it. So I got into the bus, taking bus, one day I was looking for my bus. This bus told me the bus moved, and I was there for almost 1.5 hours. It's saying, don't jam me right there. He paid me. Pay me because the next bus was like an hour after. I said, Canada, it won't be good for you. He paid me, and it shocked me. Apparently, when you see a bus, sometimes you're supposed to run and meet the bus. I say, is it Lagos? Is it Moluwe? I think I was in, it's a lie. It's like Lagos.
It's like Lagos.
So, of course, I stopped taking the bus after that because I was like, no, you won't let me suffer. So that one it shocked me because as much as we think that it's so different up here, it's not that different. Like Tunde, when I came in, I of course I didn't get a job. So I did some things online. I did my coaching online. And the first job I got, they said it was operations. When I looked at it, it wasn't really operations. It was cleaning of a gym. So I said, Sade, you have put on COVID weight. Will you? I said, yeah, I'll do it. I clean gym. We clean so I can use free gym. Let's do this. But I told myself, I'm only going to do it for 3 months. I'm doing it because I want to lose weight. And the truth is, I actually like cleaning. So I was like, you know what? So my first 3 months when I got here in June, I was cleaning the gyms, and a lot of people look at me. Of course, I'll take my picture in the gym. I'll take my picture because I had a reason for doing it. I wanted to lose weight, and I knew that if I took this job, I would have free gym time, which means I wouldn't spend money on gym. I would have to go there because it's my job, and that would give me the discipline to have to work out. My sister, I lost weight and we are sexy, amen, hallelujah. You understand? I was again towards why I did it. You understand? But before I came to this town, my house, I could see the beach from my house, please. I was living a La Vida life. Thank you very much. I gave up so much to be here, and I didn't have to. And sometimes I ask myself, Shade, was it the right decision? Did you make the right choice? And I still ask myself, every day, they don't have to step out and enter snow. I still sometimes ask myself, but I'm thankful regardless. I'm really thankful.
Okay, that's great. For me, accommodation. Accommodation in Canada. Okay.
I love that are touching on different.
I'm telling you, like, accommodation in Canada was okay. So I came as a student, and so it was two things for me. I'll start with the debt system because it has to do with the accommodation eventually. I was searching for apartments. I was staying on Airbnb at first, searching for apartments. You go to this place, they're like, you have to have credit score. I'm like, wait, credit score. So I went to the bank. They're like, okay, you have your credit card. There's a limited amount of money, blah, blah, blah. You just came 1,000. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm like, okay, I have a credit card. And they say you have to use a credit card for 3 months before you have your first credit score. So where am I supposed to be living before the credit score? Like, what happens? And then if you go to some people, they're nice enough to say, okay, nice enough to say, pay 6 months up front. 6 months up front. All right. Thank you very much. So I was in an Airbnb for, I think, a month and a half. Before I moved in with, I was staying in a shared apartment before I finally got my own apartment. And besides even the accommodation, I remember just finding it hard to use a credit card. And here's my reason, right? I'll give a literal example. I wanted to get a new laptop, and I speak to my very close friend who is not African. And I was like, hey, I'm going to get my laptop. Where did you get yours from? And he's like, oh, you can go and get a laptop from Best Buy or something, and then have a payment plan. I said, sorry, Nigeria, the money you have is what you use to buy things. You don't buy things. And he was like, oh, you're a big girl. I was like, no. But that's just how it is. Like, you respect yourself. What your money can afford, you buy it. And for me, it was very, very uncomfortable. I remember when I started using my credit card, I would like take $50, like pay for something with $50 and transfer the money immediately. And I was told that that's not even how you use it. Like, you leave it for a while. Like, to be honest, I'm still like a bit itchy about credit cards, like using credit cards, because when you hear, I remember going to the bank when I finally got my job and changed to a work permit and all of that stuff. And then they said, oh, you work at RBC, let's give you $10,000 credit card. I said, what am I going to use? When my salary will not cover the 10,000 in 1 month, please, why am I? She now said, okay, 5,000 so that you can like pay for things ahead. I was like, please, no. Please just reduce it for me. Please, I want to be able to pay for my things. So like the debt system was really, really, I mean, it still requires like some sort of adjustment. I know some people enjoy it, so they can be frivolous and stuff, but I cut my coat according to my size. So it was very, very difficult. And then accommodation is like another story. But yeah, I think those were the things that really shocked me, that's for sure.
Wow. Those are very, very interesting nuggets. Shade spoke about her bus ride experience. Tunde spoke about his job experience, and Ohita spoke about the housing experience. So I'm happy that the three of them spoke. They touched on, and it's interesting that they all have peculiar and different experiences. Very interesting, and that just goes on to show to us, like everyone listening, that people have different experiences, and so it's not like one size fits all for people. So I would ask a follow-up question, because you guys have mentioned, Tunde mentioned about, he had to re-strategize, and he started his career journey in human resources. Shade mentioned about, she's pivoting and adjusting to life. And I like the fact that, she had a purpose behind why she wanted to work at the gym, even though it's not a glamorous experience. But again, it's good that people are spilling it here. So for example, Tunde said he re-strategized. So people may be thinking, okay, how do I re-strategize my career? What's the importance of doing that, for example? So who or what helped you guys to be able to find your footing in Canada when you come? Because someone told me something, that the person or the people you expose yourself to when you're new to Canada or to any country determines your trajectory, right? So if you guys can talk about who or what helped you guys to find your footing in Canada. I know some of us, we are still trying to find our footing, but so far, what has helped you or who has helped you or what information helped you? Anybody that wants to take it first?
Yeah, I think I can go. For me, it was a different experience, and I like that you said that, David. They always say whoever you meet first in Canada will actually determine how your path will go. It either goes well or it goes the other way, and you can, only jara at the end of the day. So if you don't understand your body, that you take yourself back, right? So the first set of guys I met, and I don't blame them. People have personal experiences and they try to reflect that on you, right? For them, they started as human resources guys as well. They studied HR in Canada, but unfortunately, they couldn't get jobs, right? So they had to change to PSW. So PSW is personal support workers, people who take care of maybe the old people or sick people. And they told me when I landed, they said, "Guy, don't do HR. Just go and do PSW. You won't find it. It's not, it's not feasible for you to find a job." And I'm like, okay, but I already have HR experience, and maybe that's where mine differs, right? And I said, you know what, I'll forge ahead. I will go on. Let's see what happens, right? And I got into the program, and I did very well. But one thing that I would say really helped is research. I said something when we started. I said when we came to Canada, not a lot of people were sharing information about Canada, right? Today there's a lot of YouTube pages. There's a lot of folks using one avenue or the other, podcasts like David, Twitter like myself. And I think one thing that I started doing was I just started reading. I needed to make research. How can I be a successful HR person in Canada? What will give me that edge? And I find, if you get a certification, it might help you. And I was in school then when I started reading all these things, but I had time a lot then in my hands to actually do those research. Okay, I need a CHRP. I'm in Ontario. Ontario is CHRP. I said, okay, no problem. Let me get a CHRP. So I joined the HRP organization, which is Human Resources Professional Association, right? And I started networking, started meeting people in that field, and I started getting a feel of what I needed to actually get a good job in HR when I finished school. Mind you, I was still in school when I was doing all these things, right? So they kind of helped me. And I think that was what actually set that bar for me to start to something that I can actually step on and gradually, work on to get into the corporate world. And as everything as God would have it, I was able to get my CHRP right after I finished school. And my course is also a co-op course, which is internship. I got an internship into one of the largest insurance company, Corporators Insurance, and that was how I gradually, walked up the corporate world. So I would say it was personal research, right? And being in a very difficult situation, which was working in a factory, I just felt, it was so hard for me. See, don't get it wrong. Some people still work in the factory and they are actually getting very good pay. They are getting very good job. They are now. I know somebody who's even a supervisor already in Toyota. He's doing very well for himself. But it was just for me. The change was too drastic. You understand? Like you are in an office space. You are you're having people saying "sasa" to you, and then you are coming here. You are packing sausages. So it was like I needed to read to find out how can I get out of this. Right, so it was personal research for me, and I think that was how I was able to get out of it.
I think for me though, so my faith is really, really important to me, and I had heard so many stories about people coming here, working at restaurants and fast food places and all of that stuff, and it was just a personal decision where I said, God, I don't want to have to do this. Please, I don't want to have to do it. I remember having a conversation with my friend before I came here. She lives in British Columbia. She told me before she came to Canada, when she arrived at the airport, she possessed the land, put her feet on the floor. So when I got here to I possessed the land. I said, Canada will favor me. yeah, it's exciting, but I'll let you know how the favor, it was a long journey. But yeah, I was like, okay, Canada will favor me. So when I came, my program was also a co-op. So my, Tunde said, so that means an internship during your school year. And my the school started probably the next day or 2 days after I landed in Canada. So I had to go to Kingston and all of that stuff. And it was we had to hit the ground running. You have to start looking for your co-op programs already, because you need to start in May and start applying from September. I can't recall how many applications I put in. But I would say that my turning point was when I changed my resume, which is another topic. But I will let you know that my turning point was when I changed my resume. But coming to arriving in Canada and what has helped me, I think it's very important to know your why before you get here, right? Because there are times when it will be so hard and your why would have to be the only thing to motivate you, or to inspire you to keep on going, or just believe that it's just today, things will get better. And I think ask a lot of questions, right? I think for me, David and I were actually in the same program. That was how we met. We were on the same team the first day. And I remember David, I was like, this guy, he's so like he knows everything. He's just like talking. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And when we got to talk, we found that there's a knowledge gap, right? People don't know the right questions to ask. A lot of us don't like researching. A lot of us get information and don't probe further. We're just like, okay, Jenny told us this. But even from the previous question, it shows that each and every one of us have different stories, right? So you can either choose to find the similarities or choose to pave your own way. And I think also for me, I had good friends that lived in Canada already. There were some people just finishing school. There were just some people who just started their new jobs. And they were kind enough to give me the information I needed at the time. And speaking of my resume, we can go into how the Nigerian CV and resume is completely different. But how I knew my resume was the magic trick was, so I had applied to several places. I got one call back amongst the millions of hundreds of applications I put in, and it was from Loblaws, and then Loblaws here in Canada, and I was already excited. I was like, okay, at least this is a job I would do, blah blah blah. But it was the head office, so it was in Brampton. It was a 1 hour 30 minutes transit. You have to travel all the way, come back, and they were barely paying minimum wage. And I remember just being like, oh my god, maybe I should just do this. Eventually something will come up. And then they said they were going to get back to me. They never got back to me. I remember calling back and being like, hey, so what's happening? And they were like, lady was on vacation, blah, blah, blah. And just like everyone on this call, there was a time I just had to call my mom and be like, I'm done. I don't know what I'm doing here. Canada, this is hard. And I remember her clearly telling me, you know what? Find out where you want to work and tell God where you want to work. Tell him how much you want to earn. Tell him. And I was like, okay, maybe I should actually do this. So I promise you guys, I had to put down a list of the top 10 companies I wanted to work in Canada. And surprisingly, I got one of the top 3. But I actually had to sit down and do my research and say, hey, these are the places I want to work. And I started applying to those places. And then when my resume got fixed, the day I had the final edit, I put in an application to RBC for a co-op role. And then I got a call back. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So what was I doing wrong the whole time? But yeah, so that's my spiel.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'd love for us to thank you so much. That resume tip is very important. People sometimes think it's just amount of jobs they apply to. I had a classmate who's actually a shared friend with Ohita and I used to do almost 1,000 applications in a week, literally 100 a day. Mm-hmm. And the big importance, as Chris Nkota on the chat says too, is CV versus resume is very different and very important. But you guys, this conversation is so fire, and guess what? We're almost at the 15-minute mark. So we need to, I know time flies when you're having fun, eh? So we need to make sure that we're answering the questions, but being succinct and quick, so that because there's so much we want to know. Okay, so I want to quickly jump to it. Knowing all that you know now about your journeys, what is one advice you'll give people about coming to Canada? One advice.
First advice I would give people: don't come to this town with all this shit. Drop everything you have. It's not going to be useful here. All your answers, all your jacket, all your useful in the town. Going to have. There's no space here.
I disagree, because the mistake I made was not bringing summer clothes. And Canada sucks for fashion. I'm just dropping there. You know how Nigerians play? You want to buy a normal shirt in Canada. Normal shirt, t-shirt, sometimes $30, which is almost 20-something K or more in Nigeria. So bring your summer clothes.
Pretty, yep.
And bring your summer clothes.
Do we really have summer clothes though? That's what you have to ask.
That's true.
So Nigerians really
Yeah,
dress like the way our weather is. We should all be wearing short knicker and sleeveless.
Yeah, true. I agree.
Because we don't dress for our weather. I realized that I had a lot of clothes that couldn't work here.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't, during summer you're hot, during winter you're cold. It just wasn't for me. I was very lucky. Because I've traveled a lot, I refused to have the load. And I know a lot of people come in and things are useless to them here, and there's nothing they can do except give it out. So for me, it's really, 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 really pruned down. You don't need as much as you think you need. I don't know, personal, it's very personal.
One advice, Ohita.
Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask questions, right? Ask questions. And like everyone said, I mean, Tunde on Twitter, David, podcast, mentorship, Fresh Start Hub, career sessions, Janie, watch her videos. Everybody ask questions. Cause what's that thing we say now? Person will ask questions, no they misroad. Abi?
That's pretty much it.
True. Mine will be do your research as well. As much as we find there are people around that will guide you, that will help you, but it's also very important that you also do your research. The thing about Canada is very data oriented. Like up until you have like the census data is on Statistics Canada, right? So that's how much data driven it is. So anything you want, you can get it online. Do your research yourself as well. It's also very important.
Yeah, I think on Ohita's point on doing research and asking questions, I think the main fear is not that we don't want to ask questions, that we think our questions are stupid.
Exactly.
It's not valid. So one thing I learned, and I think Tunde and I have a video where we talk about the international student or the permanent resident route and comparing both. The good thing about sometimes coming as a student, it's a launch pad for you to mess up.
Yeah.
So one thing I learned in Canada, because everybody's polite and very passive aggressive, is that when you want to ask something you think is a stupid question, you first part it with, this one sounds stupid. Or pardon me, this is a stupid question, but because if not, you'll be on a bus for 40 minutes going the wrong way. You'll be late for your class or interview if you don't ask questions. Okay. So we need to get to the meat of it. It's Black History Month. I personally, and I know people are thinking about it, if you're not in North America, it's literally 1 month in a whole year that we get to celebrate our skin tone. Which is interesting because back home, everybody's Black. Every day is Black History Month. But here, there's a focus and attention. And I know I did get some feedback, too, that there's so much diversity that comes with being Black. Because right now, we're all Nigerians. And we need to even do better when it comes to making sure that there's a representation of Black voices at the table. But one thing that is a big culture shock, and that was for me, was the topic of race and how things like my hair, my skin tone became very much a big decision or a big topic when I moved to Canada. My father would not notice if I changed my hair from purple to red. But in Canada, I just cut my extensions that I bought with my money, and everybody in class wants to discuss it for 30 minutes. Let's talk about that. What did Black History Month mean to you before? Or what did being Black really mean to you before you came to Canada? And what does it mean to you now?
It absolutely meant nothing, man.
Nothing.
Honestly, whenever I see there was a player, I think it was a Manchester United player who talked about Black History Month. He's from Ivory Coast. You see, the typical African and the African American, our experiences are totally different.
Yep.
So they don't understand where we're coming from. We don't understand where they're coming from. That's the honest truth. The only good thing was for me, I had already started to explore that mindset and that divide between Africans and African Americans. Because in the end, all and the same is who we are. There's no, Burna Boy said it, before you were anything else, you were Black.
Yeah.
Before you were African. So that means we're all the same. We're all from the same place. It's just that you took a different path that you didn't control. So as a Black person, my first bout of racism was with an Asian woman. It shocked me. Oh my God. I was just standing like, wow, is it me? You're talking to me like this? Okay. All right, let's move on. And I have experienced different forms, from the outright to the very polite to the insidious comments like, "Oh my God, you speak so well."
Oh yes.
Okay, honey. So I've experienced it all. But as a Black person coming from Nigeria, you don't understand it until you are, because coming from Africa, you are the majority. Coming here, you are now for the first time you are a minority.
True.
So it's a big change, and people say, "Oh, but Canadians are not really racist." It's a bloody lie from hell. They are the junior brother of America that went to UI. They are racist.
That went to the UI.
Racist in their bones. They just don't have the mind to show themselves. They will show it. Just watch. So it was a clash for me, realizing that they don't see Black. They don't want to have dark-skinned people, especially really Black people. They prefer the ones who are either white passing, light skin. They prefer Latinos. They prefer Asians. But you see Black with black hair like this, they fear it. I don't know what it is, but there's something about and I've experienced it in different areas. But I've also been fortunate to experience people who just love who you are, So it's Canada 1 year.
I think feeding off of what Shade said, right? Even me as well. I mean, I had no idea what Black History Month was before I came, but I always give this illustration back at work. If you have a Nigerian or an African, you have an African American, and you have a white friend. There are three friends walking into a store, right? The white person is free, of course, whatever, it's fine. The Nigerian, in this case, doesn't care. I'm going to spend my money. I'm okay. The African American might be conscious, right? They're all white people here. They might think I took something. They might think, and then that's to your point, Shade. Like, we can't even comprehend what they've been through, right? We can't even try to imagine. Like, I always also say, right, if you, at least we Africans, we can go back home. Like, we have Nigeria, we can go back to be presidents where we're coming from. But like, even if you dump an African American in Africa, a lot of them don't even know where to go. Like, America is the only home they know.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a very, the experiences are completely different. I would say though, like, I can count how many direct racial encounters I've had. In Canada, you have like the Asians saying you look like somebody that, oh my God, we're not even the same complexion. You say you saw me, but you didn't see me. You're saying that, oh, I just saw you walk past. I'm like, me. Meanwhile, they saw like a dark skin. And then when you correct them, like, hey, I'm like, wait, what? What? And then, yeah, it's really funny. But I did have one very interesting encounter with a friend of mine. Well, he's not my friend, but he was my friend before, in school, where somebody was dancing. And then I was recording it, like, we're having a great time. And then he says, oh yeah, record it so people back home can see a white person. And I was like, so I choose my battles. I'm like, okay, do I respond to this guy right now? Or do I just ignore him? So I was like, okay, that night went. The next morning, we were having lunch. And then coincidentally, he sat like beside me. So I went to him and I was like, hey, do you remember what happened last night? He was like, oh, he doesn't remember. I was like, you made this statement, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, oh, he's really sorry. He came from a town where there was only one black person. They didn't really understand. And I was like, okay, admittedly, sometimes some people really don't know much. I know that there's like everything online, but some people don't know. And meanwhile, some people are just blatantly racist and just want to be difficult. But yeah, I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ohita. I'll be quick. For me, Black History Month didn't mean anything, before I came to Canada. Like Shade rightly said, we are the majority back home. And it brings back to what Chimamanda once said, right? When I get back home, when I land at the airport, I forget that, I'm Black or I'm African or Nigerian. When you get here, you realize that, oh, I am actually Nigerian, African. But I think my program in school also helped me because we did a lot of things about harassment. We looked at the labor code. We looked at a lot of all the laws that have to do with harassment, especially in the workplace, right? So that kind of brought my idea and orientation to the fact that, when people of color are treated differently, right? And it brings the realization that along the line, though, as the years went by, I realized that Canada might not be racist. Its own racism is it's under the veneer, right? It's quiet, but it's also there. environment, exactly. And you see it in our immigration system, and I'll give you a very good example, so I'll use it to round up. You find that people who come from the likes of Ukraine, people who come from Europe, you know, they have a higher number of, it's easier for them to pass through that immigration system. But you that are coming from Africa, you face so much scrutiny, right? The students that are coming from Nigeria are ready to pay, already, you know, we have so much potential, but it's harder for you to get your visa stamped. But the guy that is coming from Ukraine that doesn't even know how to speak English, but because he's a different kind of immigrant, he gets his own pass easier, right? So that's where it is. And the racism is quite silent, but it is very much there.
It's what is called systemic racism. And it is very, very, it is embedded. Systemic racism is the worst kind of racism. Then you have outright racism. It's embedded in every single industry of the government. It's hard.
Yeah. Especially when we have kids. So one thing I talk about is we as first generation African immigrants, like Ohita said, you can go back and be a queen back home, you can go be president. But when you have kids in this environment that all they know is being born in North America, and this is what I tell people who want to move with their family, sometimes it's okay for you to come in advance and lay the land for your family, then bring the kids. But if you don't have that luxury, then you can come, but be aware that they're going to have people talk to them a certain way in school. The conversations you've never really or thought you would ever have back home, wherever you are from Africa, or in a place that's majority black, you're going to have it here. You're going to have to talk to them about their hair, their skin tone, and how they matter. Self-confidence will be a big issue for your kids growing up, especially your young girls. Because one of my mentors, Nkechi for Robinson, she grew up in Canada. They talk about how she felt ugly for most of her life. I know back home on the continent, we sometimes deal with skin issues like light skin, dark skin. But if you have a mother and a father in the home that's telling you how beautiful you are, nobody can talk to you now. So that's very important when you have kids. Okay, David, taking it to you.
Yeah, you guys have spoken very well, and thank you so much for being very vocal and honest about it. And I like what Tunde said. Tunde and Shade about systemic racism. They say that Canadians are polite, but they don't talk, but they deal with you. For example, to Tunde's point, and that's like why it's heartbreaking for me, and it's something that I'm really, really passionate about, which is like the underemployment. For example, to Tunde's point, I read a study done by the Future of Work last October, and they found out that majority of the people from the European part of the world that come to Canada are thriving better than people that come from the non-English speaking part of the world, which is like Asia. Especially Africa is the lowest, sadly. Asia, the Indians, the people from the Chinese community and all that. So it's subtle, because you see that somebody gets to a senior manager or they get to a senior director level and they get stopped there. It's not because they're not competent. And then you see somebody who is like different from them, but before you know it, their promotion is very rapid. And then the person who doesn't look like them start asking that, guys, what's going on? I've been in this role for the past couple of years, and I seem like I'm at par with this person, but this person seems to be going faster. And but that's another conversation for another day. That's not for today. So people have been putting in their questions, and I want to say thank you to all the people that have been putting in their questions. So based on the questions, I would just direct it to people who I think have the expertise based on what they've shared today. So Tunde, I'll go with you first. So someone said, how was settling in? Do you know anyone who couldn't make it and move back home? Do you have any statistics for that?
No, I don't think I've ever met anybody in Canada who's come here unable to settle and move back home. But I have met somebody who couldn't get a job during the 3-year work permit process. So you know that after school, you get a 3-year work PGD, postgraduate work permit, right? If you do a 2-year course, you get 3 years work permit. If you do 1-year course, you get 1-year work permit, which was what I did. Very risky. Don't try it. Somebody did 2 years, they got 3 years. But within that period, I think it was nonchalant from their own points, right? It wasn't for 3 years. you could have at least maybe gotten something to process your PR, right? I think maybe they probably just felt the system will allow them extend that work permit. And unfortunately, again, like I said, research, this person didn't know that you couldn't renew a work permit, a postgraduate work permit, right? So they fell into a fix, and it was so quick. It happened so quick that it was towards the end that they found out that they couldn't, get extend the postgraduate work permit. They couldn't get a job at that point. They couldn't go back to school. So everything just happened so quickly, and then they had to, go back to Nigeria. But I don't know if they've come back now. But that's the only person I've met. But other people that I've met that have actually had fixes were people who maybe couldn't progress in this particular career, and they just had to do a career change, right? Just so that they can pivot through that pathway. So yeah,
great.
So that's, yeah.
Great, Tunde. So there's a follow-up question today, because I want to make sure that I direct the question to the person, list of questions, and I'll go to the next person. So someone said, I'm planning to come to Canada as a visitor, but I don't plan to go back. What would you say to that?
I don't know what to say to that, but if you are coming as a visitor, who are you coming to visit? Is it a family member? Don't put them in trouble, because somebody might have invited you and you don't want that to be on their record that you came and you never returned. But something happened last year. Canada changed the immigration policy that visitors can now apply for work permits while they are here. So if you come to Canada, you are fortunate to get a job while you're here, apply for a work permit. You won't need to go back to Nigeria. But normally, a visitor would need to go back and apply for a work permit from their home country. But if you are here and you get a job, apply for a work permit. But I will advise you to break a law, to come as a visitor and break a law and stay. Do it the right way, legally.
Okay, thank you so much. Shade, I'm coming to you. Don't worry, you touch on that. So I have two questions for you, actually. So someone said, because you have the travel experience, you've done it for many years, and I believe that you'll be the best person to answer these two questions. Someone said, what is the best way to come to Canada for someone who is already working for less than 3 years with a professional certificate like ACCA? And then the next question is, can you choose more than one type of job under the NOC, the one with experience and the other with just skills, both in different fields?
So let me just quickly touch on what Tunde said about the process for applying for a visitor's visa, for express entry, for provincial nomination. It's all one system. So if you mess up with one, they will catch you. It's literally one system. It's not like the US that has different systems for different things. The US has a platform for just this and this. Canada has one platform for everything. So once your details are in, they're in. So if you mess up with one, it's done. The information is there. So please just be very careful and very wary. I don't advise anyone to come and miss in Canada. It's not even worth it, because it's not like the US that is very porous with their immigration. Canada, you can't get a lot of things done without proper identification. It's almost, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's very, very difficult. So please try and avoid that. For the NOCs, what I'm going to say is, as much as possible, one thing I know for sure is that if you do get a nomination from a province, you must understand that the level of research they're going to do on your documentation is very high. It's so high that they will check your account statement to see the name of the company that has been paying you for the past 2-3 years. And if that company is not a company in the field that you claim you're in, that can destabilize your whole application. Why am I saying this? Now, some people put some NOCs and say, you know what, my background is business development, but I saw a role for office manager. I want to apply for that NOC. And that's not wrong. And that's not, I encourage people to try out different NOCs. But you have to be very, very wary and very careful that you don't pick an NOC that is too far off from you that you cannot defend, is what I'm saying. I don't know if it makes sense to the guys who are on the panel. Because what happens is, if they go and do their research, and not if, when they do their research, they will check. And if the company that you has been paying you for the last 2-3 years is a medical company, and then you say that you are a this, if it doesn't match up, that stage, you're gone, it's done. They say you lied and you cannot apply again. So you want to be very, very, very careful that whatever you do decide to change or apply, you can defend it to the bones. That's the only thing I would say. And there was one more question.
So what is the best way? What is the best way to come to Canada for somebody who is already working for less than 3 years with a professional certificate like ACCA?
Ohita, you wanted to say something?
No, I was going to say, on that NOC code thing, the important piece to look at, because I did my express entry with an immigration lawyer, like we literally sat together and went through that process. What he said is very important to look at, because a lot of NOCs are very similar, is the exclusions that's usually at the bottom. Some things will say you must have a this. Look for those you must have things, because some things are vague. The job description piece is vague, but that exclusion is what you should look at. And if it doesn't match that, just know that that's not your NOC. Please continue.
Yes, do you get the question, Shadi?
Yes, you said someone with ACCA.
Yes, so they are saying, what's the best route? What's the best way to come to Canada for someone who is already working for less than 3 years with a professional certificate like ACCA?
That's such a vague question. How old are you? You know, what is your background? You know, that's such a vague, it's not enough for me to determine anything. If you're 24, you get into express entry with that, you're good. You know, if you're 35, it's a different conversation, you know. So unfortunately, that question is not, there's not enough for me to give information. But what I would say is the website, the IRCC website has a lot of information, so much information. And the truth is, if you want to exist in this part of the world, information must be your best friend. I'm telling you, your best friend is information. Your best friend is not Instagram. Your best friend is Google. There's so much information. You can check these things out and find out if you qualify for this, what do you qualify, and you never know, things pop up all the time. New Brunswick literally just did what's it called, interviews for Nigeria, literally, like they did it for March, and the NOCs were very easy, nice NOCs. But if you're not tuned in, and if you want this thing bad, you'll be tuned in. My sister she wants this bad. She doesn't have enough points. There's no single province that just breathes air like this about immigrants that she does not know. She has alert for everything because she wants this bad. I didn't even want it as bad as she wants it. So if you really want this bad and you want to come to Canada, you will not be waiting for people to hand out information to you. You'll be tuned into every and any. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shadi. And to Shadi's point, I think that sadly our culture didn't promote like information. And to Shadi's point, and to Tunde and Ohita's point too, is that we live in a part of the world where their website is always updated. So, for example, if somebody reach out, like there's some information that I am just knowing about from just this call. So if somebody reaches out to me just because I've been in Canada for almost 8 years now, I'll be giving them outdated information. So, and to that, because the people we said that the people you saw, like the people you meet when you're new to Canada, and there's something they said, ask questions, but ask questions from the right people. However, go please, because I receive emails, and I'm sure people on this call also receive emails and text messages that people will say, tell me about Canada. And I just send them the link. Read it. It is updated. If I give you any information, it may be outdated because they might have changed it last week, right? So thank you so much, Shadi, for emphasizing that. And from what she also said, if you want it bad enough, nobody needs to be spoon feeding you or pushing you to do it. So I would ask a question from Ohita now. Somebody said, what do you think about coming during the pandemic? And they also said a second question is getting into financial services without any experience in the sector, but with an accounting experience and a risk management graduate diploma. What advice do you have for those people? How can they go about it?
Before I begin, in addition to Sade's comment, for the ACCA person, I think you should also check the CPA website. So that's the Chartered Professional Accountants Canada website. I do know that there are some professional grades that you get that they can convert for you easily or something. You don't have to write an exam or something. So do check that CPA, Chartered Professional Accountants. Coming to Canada in the pandemic. Well, no one knows, like, I don't even think there's a strategy that works for anyone because we have never seen this time before, right? It is so new to everyone. So it's not even like anyone can give you a script, right? I would say though that you have to double your hustle in quotes. So even if you were you come into Canada, it would be harder to even get a place. It would be harder to find jobs because even people in Canada right now, like white, black, brown, whatever, lost their jobs. So it's so hard right now. It's not impossible. It just would take time. So you need to be resilient. There's no two ways about it, and just like work extra hard. It's not impossible. And then from Sade's story as well, you can even pick up on that. She came like literally when COVID began, right? So it's impossible. There's nothing. Just get ready to hit the ground running, be resilient, and work extra hard. On the financial services piece. But David, the person said without a financial service background, or the person said they work in accounting.
Without any experience in the sector, but with an accounting experience and a risk management graduate diploma.
So isn't accounting experience relevant in financial services? Or is the person saying that they have the background, but
they have the accounting
experience?
Background? Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. I think so I also never worked in a financial service before, and then I work at RBC today. From my experience, I can tell you that most financial services is not just accounting you do anyways. Like the work I do is business strategy and transformation, which I didn't even know about. Like even when I call back home and I say I work in a bank, I remember speaking to my granddad and he was like, oh, I hope you're not like working in the branches or whatever. I'm like, don't worry, that's not that, because he feels like in Nigeria, they say they work long hours as a woman, blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, don't worry, I promise I'm not doing that. But I think you need to get ready to learn and unlearn, right? And the reason I say this is because what you know back home, some of them might be relevant. You would be surprised how you can apply it, but a lot of what you do not know, right, you have to learn on the job. So even during your interviews, if you ever get one, you would want to highlight that you are very teachable, like you're ready to learn. I found that in Canada is very, very important. And then do the professional courses if you have to. Check the CPA, since you said it's accounting. For risk management, I'm sure there's also a professional course, because I find like professional qualifications are actually good as well. I have the PMP. I don't do product management right now, but it was relevant for me at the time when I was a co-op student, because I highlighted I was taking the exams and they looked out for it, right? So I would just say to this person to check out get ready to learn and unlearn whatever it is you know, and also be teachable, right? And then do the relevant professional courses required.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ohita. And Sade, one final question. A lot of people actually care about you on this call, on this meeting we're having. So the person said, Sade, for you, how do you deal with mental health, considering you were a celeb in Nigeria before moving to Canada? What's your anchor?
How dare you? I'm a celeb here too. How dare you? Oh my God. So let me say first, before I answer that question, I want to talk about coming in the pandemic. And it was the worst time to come, because as Ohita said, a lot of people were losing jobs because companies were trying to readjust to this new time. So it was the worst time, and this was me coming with almost nothing. And luckily, I didn't have to pay rent my first few months, and I knew I was not going to do care. It wasn't going to happen. I knew I was not going to work in McDonald's or fast food. It was never. So I asked myself, what do I want to achieve? And that's why for me, I applied to the gym. And when I saw it, and the pay was basic as shit, but I said to myself, what am I trying to achieve? So you need to ask yourself that at every single point in your life. I had a friend who came in and he refused to do any job until he got the job he wanted. It took him like 8 months. But he had saved his money from Nigeria to help him. So he kept a low profile until he got a job with Shopify. He did not want to do $18 a job hour, $16. I was ready to do $18 or $16, but I was not ready to do some certain kind of jobs. I refused. I wanted a job that was going to allow me to explore the city, understand the public transport, exercise, be outside in the streets, wear short knicker, wear halter neck. That's why I wanted that kind of job. And I got it. So I was very, very particular. And I told myself, I'm only going to be there between 3 to 6 months. I'm not going to do longer than that. And to God be the glory, I'm not doing that job anymore. It was a bad job. So it's very important that when you come into a situation that you don't know anything about, you must set standards. You must set targets. Ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? What can help me get there? It might not look like what you want, but is it going to get you one step closer to what you want to achieve? Mm-hmm. It should be as simple and small as possible. It doesn't have to be big things. I have not reached any big thing here. On the side of mental health, mental health is such a serious issue, especially in this part of the world, because you are isolated. You can be alone for 2 weeks. You'll see nobody. Nobody will look for you. Nobody cares. Everybody move. You enter street, everybody goes like this. That's this world for you. Unlike Nigeria, where anybody just pop, hey, shall I have fun now? Day to day, let's go to bottles. That one doesn't happen here. So for me, I had to make an intentional effort to keep my circles around me going. And I've been so blessed, and LinkedIn has been such an amazing tool for me. LinkedIn is where I met a lot of amazing people. I met David on LinkedIn. Janie, I met you through Nkechi's group, but I met Nkechi through LinkedIn. Yes. I did not know Nkechi till LinkedIn. And then she asked me, do you want to be part of the WhatsApp group? And I said, yes. So I'm intentionally making and keeping circles of friends. People who are around me once in a while, come now, let's just chop. So you have to be mindful of your mental health, because it's so easy to think to yourself, I'm okay now, I'm all right. Yes, you might be okay, but are you constantly thinking about your mental health? You have to. It's not a joke here. And please, for the record, I'm still a celebrity.
Oh, amen.
Energy.
All right. Thank you so much, Shadi. That's well noted. We'll make sure that we put that at the back of your mind. That so I'll put celebrity Shadi behind. Anyways, so that's just on a lighter note. So today, final question for you. You mentioned two very important and very interesting things earlier, and I would want you to please break it down for people on this call, so that this will be our final question, but I want you to be as practical as possible on this question. You emphasized that you were strategic, you had to re-strategize your career. And based on your experience, for people who have reached out to you that you've helped, because I know you're very big in that space. So break it down for us using like a persona of somebody who came to Canada, how you help them to re-strategize, or how you re-strategize your own journey. Maybe they were in a different industry before and they had to pivot. Number one. Number two is you mentioned about networking. Is it that, okay, you said I should network. Should I go and take a certificate course in networking? Like, is it a networking, like technical networking, like CCNA? Like, what do you mean by networking, and how important is it in this part of the world for those who are trying to move, and also for their career, and also for life generally?
It's on mute.
You're on mute.
No, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
The host has muted us.
You've muted.
No, he's not on. He's supposed to not be muted. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Now you're good.
Jenny muted me, for the record. Jenny.
Come for me. I can take it.
Start your answer all over again today.
No problem. That's fine. So I think for the practical step, first is I'll go by what Ohita said, and that's also what really helped me is your resume, right? You find that when we are coming from Nigeria, our CV, as what we call the back home, it has a lot of personal details. It shows your age, it shows your local government, it shows your pastor, it shows your religion, it shows all those things. You don't need all that, right? What they need are your skills, right? And you find that you have to really zero down on what you achieved, right? Like, okay, I was able to bump up the sales to 25%, thereby increasing revenue to so millions of dollars. And you have to change those currencies. Stop putting naira if you were in sales and you were doing naira stuff, change it to dollars. So your CV has to practically reflect that Canadian format, and it really needs to show your skills. I don't want to go into details because you have functional CVs, you have the chronological CVs, you have all those kinds of things. You have to make sure that whatever you're applying for actually reflects what you're trying to give, the value you're trying to add. That's the first thing. Second is, what field are you in now, really, and what are they looking for? Right, that's another good thing. Like for many and most HR people I've spoken to, if you're in Ontario, try as much as possible to get your CHRP. If you're in that level, if you're already in a leadership role, get your CHRL, right? So those are the things I always tell people. And another thing is, if you're in project management, PMP obviously is a very good ad. It will definitely, it's a value to you, right? Because those are things that you're looking for. So look at the job openings you're applying to. Look for what are those things they are looking for, and what does the industry require of me? So those are the practical steps. Another thing that really helped me, and I think I'll really round up on this, is my interview. See, there's nothing with the way we speak, right? But for so many of us, when we first got there, when we landed here, unlike Shade, I wasn't in the space of speaking, right? I was behind closed doors where I was interviewing my fellow Nigerians as the HR guy. So the way I pronounced stuff was quite different from the way people pronounce stuff here. And when they hear me, sometimes then they will say, "Come again," right? So that kind of also, it affects your morale, and then you have to really learn. And this is not changing your accent; it's just pronouncing it so that they really hear what you're saying, right? As a Nigerian, we have strong tongue and we have strong accent, and we are very unapologetic about it. Let's set that fact straight. But just make sure as you're pronouncing it, they know what you're saying, right? So that's it. And what was the last question now, David? Sorry.
Yeah, the last question is, you mentioned networking. Is it like I need
to? No.
It's
like what we are doing right now. I've through this platform now, I'm fortunate to meet Ohita, I'm fortunate to meet Shadi, I'm fortunate to meet you, David, right? Through networking, through Janie, right? So that's the networking I'm talking about. Shadi mentioned LinkedIn the other time, right? You find that there are a lot of us on LinkedIn. To me, I always run away from it once in a while, but there are a lot of us on LinkedIn sharing good information, and you find that there are people there you can simply just message somebody, "Hi, I see you are in this field, you are working in the bank, you are this, I'm actually planning on moving to Canada. I wouldn't mind if you have just 30 minutes, let's just want to have a chat with you just so I can understand the field," right? It's as simple as that. And those are the kind of networking. Another thing, there are a lot of group chats. You find that there are a lot of Nigerian group chats where you can join, meet a lot of people. So I think networking goes beyond just, sitting down, like David said, and trying to get a course in networking. No, it's physical interaction like this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, thank you, Tunde. So over to you, Jenny.
Wow, you guys, like, how have we spent almost 90 minutes on this conversation? Before, I want to thank you all so much, but there's something still that we have to talk about. It's not a talk about, it's more a mention before we play our fun game. So for everybody who's waited to this part, real MVPs, I'll send you guys one small chop. But anyways, real quickly, I want each of you to drop one resource, like a best kept secret. Shade's kind of mentioned LinkedIn, so we can't use LinkedIn again. One resource, one tool, or one tip that has helped you in your immigration journey for people who are trying to come, or people who are in Canada and they should know about it and get on it. It could be about career, resume, networking, accommodation, transportation, whatever. One thing, one tool, one resource, one tip. Go.
Job bank.
Sorry.
I said job bank. So for anybody who's really looking to understand the Canadian labor market, job bank is another good place.
Thank you, Tunde.
So two, Resume Nerd helped work-wise, and then Facebook Marketplace. Oh my God, the best.
Awesome. Thank you, Sade. Ohita?
Okay, I would say Write Easy for helping with your personal statements and resumes, and the Fresh Start Hub. The Fresh Start Hub by David Ojenka is fantastic. Podcast for everything: podcast, career, information sessions, and mentorship.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you all so much for those like very helpful tips. I hope you guys got that in the chat. Whoever got it, please write it in the chat for anybody else who missed it. This is the fun part. This is where Janie comes alive. And I'm like, time to play a game. Okay. So every immigrant knows that expectation versus reality meme. It's like what you thought about Canada and what it really is like. And we have a wealth of experience on this call today. So how it's going to work is I will say one thing and then you three will go round table. Either you say it was expected or it shocked you. It shocked you. So you can say shocked, right? So let's start. Are we all good? We have a sense of what the game is? Okay. The food in Toronto, expected or shocked?
Expected.
Unexpected.
Shocked, Tunde.
I'm a millennial, sorry, shocked.
Tunde wanted Amala. Shocker. Okay, the people in Canada, expected or shocked?
Shocked.
Shocked.
Expected.
Interesting. You guys, you have to connect with them to find out what they mean. Sorry, they're not explaining. The culture in Canada, expected or shocked?
Shocked.
Shocked.
All right, so culture shocked everybody. That's a winner. Okay. The job market.
Shocked.
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 He shocked me.
As in the choke.
Okay. We're Canadian. We have to talk about this. The weather.
Oh God.
Shocked. Very shocked.
Like you think you know it from all the Game of Thrones, winter is here, and then you really see it like this. Okay. We're all in Toronto. Some people are in Toronto of their house because lockdown has not let them see Toronto. But Toronto life, or Toronto as a city, expected or shocked?
Expected.
Expected.
Boring, no. Anyway, entertainment generally in Canada. Expected or shocked?
Expected.
Okay, that's great. Some people are still very shocked by that. Housing.
Shocked.
Hey,
Shocked.
shocked me.
As in,
My head like this.
Okay. Shade, I kind of know what your answer will be to this next one. Transportation.
Shocked.
Okay. And finally, actually, we'll have two more. Education.
Expected.
Shocked.
neutral. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. And then finally, like spiritual life or way of life with people, expected or shocked?
Expected.
Ground.
Expected.
Okay, perfect. And with that, I would love to say thank you to you three for an amazing Sunday afternoon. I'm sure there's a lot of nuggets, and you guys, like if you missed this, if you know someone who missed this, please, they have to rewatch this. They have to join again. It's going to be hosted on my channel. You can rewatch this, share this with somebody who is on their way to Canada or somebody who is here and still needs to learn some of these tips. And without further ado, I just want to say thank you so much, Sade. Thank you so much, Ohita. Thank you so much, Tunde. And David, thank you for bringing up this amazing idea for this event today.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone.
And
Thank
finally,
Did you
guys,
take a picture of this thing?
Oh,
yes, I do have a screenshot. So actually, let's do one together so we all smell. Everybody in your houses, so let's do it together. I'll say 3, 2, 1, and you say Moshing, and we'll talk about what that means. 3, 2, 1, Moshing. Thank you so much. And all of you who joined in, you spent time on your Sunday to join this conversation. We can't say thank you enough. So please follow Ohita at the Ohita Foundation. Sade Ladipo, the brand. There's no need to say too much. And today's everywhere at Tunde Touch, and my amazing, fantastic co-host David at the Fresh Start Hub. And without further ado, have a blessed week, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye,
Everyone. Bye.